I wanted to like it. Back when I was going to school, I really wanted to like it. I came up with all sorts of mental tricks, all sorts of little games I would play, all sorts of, oh, this class is fun, the day's practically over, but I could never bring myself to like it. What am I talking about? School. Producer Brooke, I don't know if you share that sentiment. I don't know if you played games with yourself. But as Elon Musk said, I hated going to school back when I was a kid. It was torture. He said that. Did you know that? Elon Musk, I believe he's a billionaire. He hated going to school, and he's not the only one. You have so many people that hated going to school and got out of it. From Thomas Edison to people way back that are revered today, that hated going to school, that could not make themselves like it, that could not make themselves learn from it, no matter how much they tried.
And of course there are fun parts of school at some point, talking to your friends, doing maybe a fun activity in class once or twice a year. But why don't you just think about each class? Think about how bored you've been, how much you've just wanted to get out of school that day.
And until about a year ago, I had no idea why. It was an inescapable feeling for me that I just did not like school. And I think that most kids probably agree with that. They don't quite know why they don't like it, but they know they do not like it. And today, we need to get into why that is, because the school system is so unbelievably depraved and messed up, and there is so much work to be done if we ever want our kids to get an actual education, because schools do not educate. They were actually founded to do the very opposite of that, which is to dumb down and force children to conform. Now, how do you do that? Well, first, you have to make them into a blank slate. You have to drive out their creativity. You have to drive out their innate, biological, evolutionary desire to learn. Did you know that you, as a kid, and I think supposedly, throughout your whole life, have an instinct to like learning. But schools destroy this instinct. Schools make it into nothingness. And in my experience, it took about 4 years. I don't know if you agree with that, Producer Brooke, but it took about 4 years for me.
I don't know. I still like learning certain things, but only when I really like tech, so I'll always learn stuff about tech. But maybe not other subjects as much.
Correct.
And you really like politics, I guess.
History, politics, geography, geopolitics. That's like the combination. But I like learning. It hasn't totally gone away, but I do not intrinsically, inherently like learning.
And whenever I try to teach you something about tech, you never want to learn.
No.
And same goes with me learning anything about history.
Because schools everything has to be dumbed down so that you can be made into their little puppet. When you are young, you are indoctrinated, but more importantly, and to much more detrimental effect, you are made to hate learning. That is why I legitimately wish that third graders, second graders, first graders, kindergarteners would not listen to a word the teacher says, and would not, I wish they would be as rebellious as we are in middle school, because then they might actually preserve some of their creativity. But when you listen to the teacher and you follow their orders like you generally do for kindergarten and first grade, you are making yourself dumber, and the teacher has no idea what he or she is doing. The teacher is a useful idiot. I'm sorry, it's true.
Yeah, not all educators, principals, teachers, not all of them share the same philosophy of dumb kids down for a utopia, but the foundations that were laid by the people who wanted a utopia have been enough.
Truly, they're cogs in the wheel. The system is self-propagating. As Rudolf Flesch called it, it's a foolproof system. The system is going to be around forever and ever unless we stop it, because it is self-propagating. It has almost become alive in a way, like the Terminator, or maybe that's not the best example, but like a computer. It's become self-conscious now, and now it's waging a war against intelligence. The school system was created to be the antithesis of intelligence. That's what John Dewey said. John Dewey called intelligence an individualistic, oligarchical notion, the term of intelligence. So when you are going to school, they are actively trying to make you less intelligent, That is why you hate school. That is why you hated school when you were a kid. There's a very high chance. That is why, because the school is working against your human nature. The school is going against all known laws of human nature, all known laws of biology, all known laws of your evolutionary self, all known laws of your instincts, your intrinsic desire to like learning, your intrinsic desire to want to get an education. School goes against that. And that is why the system must be stopped. It is the antithesis. It is the enemy of intelligence, of learning, of education, and the teachers are innocent for the most part, but they are cogs in the wheel. They are cogs in the wheel that have to be stopped. Otherwise, kids will continue to hate what is supposed to be an education. Can you believe that we have to tell kids to focus so that they can so that we can have an education? So we have to tell kids when they're sitting in their seats trying to talk to their friends, which honestly is probably better because at least you're not getting dumb or doing that. We have to tell kids, pay attention, Jimmy, otherwise you don't get recess today, because if you don't pay attention, you won't learn. If school's educated, there would be no attention problems, because if school's educated, kids would like it. Kids would look forward to it. Kids would not be unable to stop themselves from hating it, as I was, and I really wanted to like it. From the period of probably 4th to 6th grade, I really wanted to like school. All right, and for much of that time, by all rights, I should have liked school, because it was it was, quote, educating as far as we know, and I had friends, and I liked my teachers, so I should have been getting in. I should have liked it. By all rights, I should have liked it, and I thought at the time, okay, maybe I'm being an ungrateful, ungrateful, privileged Westerner, right? Because, we live in a very wealthy society, and we live with the best toys, the best technology ever known to man. So maybe I thought maybe I'm just being a brat, but I could not escape the feeling of hating school. I just could not escape it. I wanted to like it. I really, really did, but I couldn't. And now I know why, because the system is working against intelligence. It is trying to beat the individuality, beat the human being out of you.
Because teachers go and they just tell you stuff and they expect you to remember it. Then you take a test and they tell you more stuff and you forget the stuff you learned at the beginning of the year, because your whole schooling is just focused on learning stuff and then taking a test and then taking a quarterly or exam.
It is a rotten system, and might I add, and John Taylor Gatto, probably the person I look up to the most, said the same thing. It is incredible that we cannot think of a better thing to do with our youth than to lock them up in these places where they are not getting an education, where they are getting schooled, where there's no free will, they're not allowed to do any creativity, they have to conform to the collective. It really is a sad reflection on our society. And by the way, I would like to add that it is a sad reflection on society that we lock up old people, our elders, don't talk to them, don't get their wisdom, don't even think about them most of the time. We lock them up in retirement homes, and until they die. I think that is an equally sad reflection on our society. We live in an eternal present where you're in school, you do your thing, you take a test for every class every week until the torture is finally over after 12 years, until the mental torture is finally over. Then you get some job, become a cog in the wheel. And this is after you've been dumbed down, you've been maybe drugged, you've been gotten into drugs, you've been, you've become, if you're a male, you've become, if you've become effeminate, and if you're a girl, you might have become more masculine, because that's our society seems to think that's a good idea now. And you become a cog in the wheel, then you become old, and you go to the retirement home, where you are looked down upon, you're not cared for in many cases, your wisdom is never used, you never talk to people, and it's an eternal present until you die. And that is the cycle of life right now. It all starts in school. It all starts in this horrible, horrific system, which I know so many other kids cannot help but hate, no matter how much they try to make it otherwise. All right, I'd like to wrap up this show, or wrap up with a video pretty early you know, under 10 minutes, although we got 10 seconds left. So please do like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, down below, and leave a comment. I already said that. Yeah, America's the best country in the history of the world. Goodbye.